So it's like, what rhythm is your life in right now? If this was a song, like what part of the song am I at now? Am I in the chorus where there's a lot happening, or am I sort of towards the end of the song where I'm sort of ending off and things are a lot quieter kind of thing? But most importantly, where I'm at personally affects where my family's at. And so that's how I sort of choose to say, right now in my life, this is what I'm going to focus on, because this is the pace or the rhythm that we're at as a family. And maybe in a few months' time, that changes, so I can shift my focus to music, or shift my focus to content, strictly content creation, because we're in a different pace or a different phase.
Welcome to MAWJR, the podcast that helps creatives get creative. Our community of entrepreneurs will show you how to turn your passion into a sustainable income-generating endeavor. Broadcasting from Cape Town, South Africa, here's your host, Jerome Lex.
Hello friends, this is MAWJR. This is the podcast where we encourage and hopefully inspire you to get busy, man. Jump on that piece of work and get busy and get creative and indeed make art. If you are a creative, you need to be creative. It is an inborn need, it is an innate need, and we need you to be creative because your art is important and your art makes a difference. It beautifies spaces, it beautifies soundscapes, it uplifts people, it inspires people, and it makes the world overall a more attractive and a more pleasant place in which to live. That being said, making art costs money, and so our primary focus as MAWJR, and the primary focus of this podcast, is really to talk to people who have managed to, on a consistent basis, create their art and make it more or less self-funded for a start, I would say, so that it's not a drain on the household budget. You know, once you get married and once you have children and once you start paying school fees, then it becomes progressively more challenging to take money out of the home budget, because, you know, we could record this dope track, you know, it's going to be fire, the mixtape is out, but we're frying eggs all month. So MAWJR is really about balancing those things and trying to build your art to a point where it is sustainable and looks after itself. This is a historic episode because I have, for the first time ever, two guests with me, believe it or not. I have Ilze and Calvin Gopal. Welcome, guys. Good to have you here.
Hi.
How's it, Jerome?
Hi, guys. Ilze, you don't sound nervous at all. That's awesome. Well done.
It was just a chat.
This is just a chat. Just for context, Ilze is also known as IOG the Poet. She goes by that stage name. She is a performing artist. She is a recording artist. I can't think of many people whose first experience recording is with a band of the size and profile and stature of Bitter Einder. Ilze is one of them. That's my first, like, whoop, I'm recording now. Boom. That's with these people. Yeah, Ilze is also a blogger. She is an entrepreneur. Please ask about her bacon jam. You will not regret it. Take it from me. Calvin goes by the stage name of The Recruit. This guy is an amazing rapper, amazing freestyle artist, performing artist. 2 albums deep, Calvin, if I'm correct. The Sign Up and The Assignment. 2 albums deep.
Yes.
And then Calvin has also toured with other international artists internationally. So he is Mr. International. He's doing the things. And then he is the father to Ilze's children. Most impressively, I think, some would say. Yeah. Myself included. You are also both involved in youth ministry at your local church. Guys, did I miss anything? It's such a long intro.
I think that covers it, man. Very, 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 very detailed and precise, Mr. X.
Okay, cool. I'm glad I covered that. I've got my entire page here. Let me show you. The entire page is covered with just your introduction. Normally, it's this paragraph here at the top, and then I have the rest of the page to write on. But your CVs are so comprehensive and so meaty. All this to say that this couple is a power couple, and they are both individually and together a big deal. So, guys, here's my question. I've now at length elaborated on what you are all famous for and all the activities and the things that you are busy with. How do you create anything? How do you make yourself get creative with all of this going on? Because besides all that, you're running the house, you're working other jobs perhaps to earn an income. Like how are you managing to make art in between all this madness? Is it okay if I call it madness?
It is madness. I think I'll answer. Um, we are, I think we still qualify as a young family. We have a 4-year-old and an 18-month-old. So I think we are actually in the middle of that hurricane of just kids and toys and all that type of stuff. So making art, to be honest, wasn't first on the priority list. For me personally, and I think for Calvin as well, we started sending them to school, so we have the day to work. And in between times of work, it's almost like this magical moments of just creativity and art just falling in and happening spontaneously when there's time. Yeah, that's from my side. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's very similar. I mean, I actually realized today that a year ago I released my last single. So it's almost like I think it's time to make some more music. And or bring out some more content, if you want to put it that way. It's not, and yeah, so I mean, like Ilze said, it's just finding those moments within the rush. You know, sometimes we can get caught up in just life, family life, work life, everything that's happening around us, that you forget that you're a creative, you know, and you have this talent, you have this ability. So, but you also need to put in the work. You know, it doesn't just come so much just naturally. You have to take the time to put in the work. So I guess it's just trying to find those moments, quiet moments during the day, or in the middle of the night, you know, when you feel the most inspired, and that's how we make it happen.
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, I definitely want to say, Ilze, that you are still a young family and enjoy thinking of yourselves as a young family, because that moment, at some point, it blows by and you don't even realize that it has. You're going to reflect and you'll be like, oh, our children aren't small anymore. And I like that you're mentioning about the night, because I find when you've got children, like those, like at night, really becomes a productive time. Like I know from 10 o'clock at night till about 1, 2 in the morning, you really get lots done in that time, because the house is a different place overnight and during the night. Calvin, you mentioning that the last time you put out a single was a year ago. Not long ago, I think, in terms of independent music creation, because if you market it correctly, then my sense is always like if you market it correctly, you should be getting about a year's legs out of a track, out of a single, if you're pushing it and so forth. You did, I know, for a time go on hiatus where you were just not actively making music, certainly from outside, not actively pursuing a career in music because you were building a family, you were relocating from Cape Town to Gauteng, then you got involved in a new job, and a whole bunch of stuff was happening. What I'm curious about is how does one make sure that you kind of sustain some momentum offline, like out of the public eye while you are, because I think being a performing artist, being a recording artist who puts out music is all about momentum. And it's about keeping things, keeping the scoreboard ticking over and keeping things moving. How do you kind of sustain that momentum offline so that, hey, when I'm back, you're hitting the ground running and you've kind of got some momentum moving already?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's a great question, first of all. I mean, I think you can easily get lost and forget about it. But I think how I sort of kept momentum or kept it going was constantly looking for ideas, constantly thinking of new things. And whenever something came to mind, I was like, that would be a great idea for a song, or, that's a great line, and I write it down, I still have this notepad, or actually a book that I found the other day that is probably got about 6 or 7 unrecorded, unperformed songs that are in the backlog somewhere. And it's like, I'm going to get to them at some stage. But that is how I sort of kept the momentum going, is that I was still sort of writing here and there, still listening to what's happening in my genre, or what's happening in the music world, locally, internationally. So as you don't get, sometimes if you haven't released content or released music for, let's say, 3-4 years, you might be still stuck in 2017 with your style, or where the music is going. And then you come back in 2020 and everyone's like, but that doesn't sound right, because, you've kind of lost 3 years of what's happening. So I tried my best to stay connected to, people that are in the industry, listening to what's happening, and also just getting feedback from people that I trust, and listening to what they have to say about what's happening in the industry or what's happening musically. And I guess that's how I stayed sort of with my ear to the ground. So when I was ready to release again, I had something that was, was decent and was, prepared, or well prepared for what was happening at the moment.
Okay, that's a really practical answer. That's a really practical response, because what I'm hearing is that you're not switched off, man. You're just not putting out music, but you're doing all the other things that contribute to that process. You're networking, you're staying current, you're writing down ideas. So, okay, I don't know if this next question is still applicable then, but I was just wondering, do you guys feel like if you haven't written in a long time and then you start writing again, do you ever get the feeling like you second guess everything? You kind of lose that confidence of when you're sharp and you're writing on a consistent basis?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, definitely, I think it was, and I think after I took that short break, it took me a long time to sort of be sure of myself again. It's like, is this really something I can still do? Am I still able to write lyrics? Am I in the right place mentally, emotionally to sort of write something decent? Or, is it good enough kind of thing? So you do second guess, like, does this line actually make sense? Or, if I start writing, am I going to get 2 verses out? Am I going to get 3 verses out? Or is my hook going to be catchy enough, that people are going to want to listen to this? Or should I just stop? So yes, definitely. For me, at least, I think I went through a bit of a phase where I blamed it on writer's block, but I don't think it was writer's block. I think it was just, do I still have what it takes? If that makes sense.
Yeah, for me, not really. For me, how do I put this? When I was pregnant with both my kids, and then the craziness with having a newborn, and then having a newborn and a toddler and all of that, there wasn't time for writing. And then after that, I started writing again, and it was amazing to me. It was like a best friend that you haven't seen in a long time. But I guess for me, it's because I write for myself first. And then if it gets put on a blog or whatever, then it's great if people like it. But if they don't like it, I wrote it for myself, so that's cool.
Yeah, Ilze makes it sound so easy. Ilze, you also have a blog, eh? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So yeah, I have a blog that I started a while ago, and then at some stages it's like just one entry per year. But I recently started again, just because I missed writing and I missed just putting, like Calvin said, content out, And then this week, I think it was this week, no? I wrote a blog. It was just like something struck and I started writing. And then the website, the WordPress where I put my blog, asked if I want to put it into a podcast. And I was like, hey, this is a cool idea. Let's try it. I don't have equipment, but okay. So then I just recorded it, and it's now, I think I've put 4 out, and it's on Spotify. So I'm very excited because it's a new platform. I've always just written, and then I always say in Afrikaans, ek vertel net my story. I don't really see it as performing. I'm just telling my story. So I think to do it on a platform like Spotify or Anchor or whatever podcast it's on, it's different and it's fresh for me because I can put my voice to it.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Ilze Gopal podcast out now. Don't miss.
Yay!
At I Am Recruit. New album loading. There's like 7 tracks lying there. Yo, this is a very exciting time.
You don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, no. Well, now it's out there. Like the universe is expecting, you know. Guys, I'm curious about with all this happening. Okay, now I'm recording a blog. Okay, now I'm making bacon jam. Okay, now I'm doing personal training. Kel is a personal trainer as well. How do you decide which things take priority? Because with so much happening, it's impossible to do it all at the same time. I mean, surely there must be some level of prioritization. How do you weigh up the priorities and decide which thing takes center stage at any given point in time?
I think the most important thing for me, at least, is what goes well, what's going to suit my family the most. I think that's important. My family always comes first, and as with most people, their family comes first. And so, a lot of people talk about seasons, like, this season of my life, that season of my life. But I realized something the other day, or a couple of weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, that as creatives, especially when you sort of make music or anything of that sort, you can't sort of follow seasons, but you have to follow rhythms, So it's like, what rhythm is your life in right now, And that for me is what I look at, and I look at, okay, where am I going? If this was a song, like, what part of the song am I at now? Am I in the chorus where there's a lot happening, but there's one main theme that you're trying to get out so that people remember? Or am I sort of towards the end of the song where I'm sort of ending off and things are a lot quieter, kind of thing? So it's just all about rhythm for me, and where I'm at personally, but most importantly, where I'm at personally affects where my family's at. And so that's how I sort of choose to say, right now in my life, this is what I'm going to focus on, because this is the pace or the rhythm that we're at as a family. And maybe in a few months' time, that changes, so I can shift my focus to music, or shift my focus to strictly content creation, because we're in a different pace or a different phase. So yeah, I hope that answers the question, but that's pretty much how I envision it in my life.
Sure. That's beautiful.
That is beautiful. Okay. So practically, thank you, Calvin. That was a beautiful response. Practically, just as an extension of that question, how do you know that the thing you are focusing on right now is the right thing? Like, what assurance do you look for internally or from your partner that gives you that peace that, okay, I've prioritized the thing and this is the right thing for this rhythm and the stage that I am at?
I think it all comes down to contentment, like, you need to be content with where you're at. Like, I think whether you are an artist, whether you are, an entrepreneur, whether you are, just have a career where you're working a 9 to 5 for a company or anything of that sort. I think if you I try to focus on contentment all the time, like, because if you don't focus on contentment, you're never going to be happy, because you're constantly going to be chasing that high, constantly chasing that, only when I get here, I'm going to be happy. And then you get there and you realize, but there's more. This is not what I had envisioned. So I need to constantly be seeking for more. Yes, we need to constantly seek to to improve and better our lives and become better people as we get older and as we grow in life. But I think I know for certain that when I'm happy in a specific phases, if I'm content as sort of the head of the household, if I'm content and I'm happy and I'm in a great rhythm, I know that my family will follow suit. Yeah. And that's what I look for in Ilze, is like, if I'm happy, I know she's going to be happy, because she can see that I'm happy and the family's getting along well. And so that's how I try and gauge it. If I realize things are not going well, or I'm spending too much time on one thing and not giving enough time to my family, then that's when I know I'm not content, which means if I'm not content, the rest of the family probably is also struggling with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Nothing to add, Ilze? You agree?
Yeah, I agree. And also, for me personally, it's whatever fills my cup. So, I mean, we've been through with COVID hitting us and a lot of things that happened to our family or in our family, where I struggled a lot. But with Calvin being by my side and assuring me with that contentment and that happiness also helped me to find my happiness again. And I think the rhythm of the household is better because we're both in a good space. So yeah, whatever fills our cup, I think.
Okay. As two creatives surviving in the same space, is that easy? I'm asking because I find it so rare that you have a couple where both members, both parties are like creatives, but kind of in the same space. Like you're both performing artists, you both write, you both create, performance workmen. Other people, like in my situation, again, Adele is creative in other ways. She's creative administratively, and she's creative with organizing and hosting and making people feel comfortable. And in those two things dovetail. And I find that is more than norm. But you two are, for me, somewhat of an anomaly because both of you are these like fiercely creative people and performing artists in your own right. How?
I don't know. I guess it's just all about understanding where each other is. If that makes sense. Where the other person is at, and I think there's moments where Ilze's in a more creative space than I am, and I'm okay with that. I appreciate that, and I let her run with it. There's moments where I might be in a more creative space than she is. But I think it's all about just encouraging each other and supporting each other. Yeah. And I know we've always said to each other that we struggle to write stuff together. Like,
yes, we do.
It's very difficult for us to feature on one piece, whether it's a poem or whether it's a track or whatever, because of our different sort of creative styles. Yeah. When I mean creative style, I don't mean she's a poet, I'm an MC, but in terms of just the way we create. She likes to sit and get composed and sort of figure things out and plan, and I'm more of, hey, let's just jump right into it. Where's the beat? Let me just write,
And concept,
yeah.
What we thought.
And I'm like, let's just start writing and then we'll figure that out. That's the way I've always done it. I do things differently. So I guess in that space, it's just about appreciating that with each other. Yeah. I know we've clashed a lot in the past with regards to that, but once we got into sort of a rhythm and a pace where we understood, okay, this is how you do things, I'm going to let you do it. And this is how I do things, and she lets me do that. So it's just that. It's just balancing that a bit better.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, you both are performing artists. You have for me an interesting approach because, Calvin, as I said, you go on tours internationally with other international artists without actively appearing to be seeking those opportunities out. Ilze, since your move to Gauteng, it seemed at one point like you were just getting booked left, right, and center. Like you were just performing all over the show. And you have this sort of way of these things come your way, and it doesn't appear on the surface as if you are actively looking for these opportunities. They just come across your way. And I'm just thinking of Lily recently posting on YouTube, putting up this YouTube video saying she's quitting music. She's no longer actively pursuing a career in music. And, here's this woman who, in my mind, one of the most phenomenal artists I've ever seen live, an amazing voice, incredibly talented. And she's just done. She's packing it in. She'll sing at your wedding. She'll do a song at your 21st, but she's kind of done pursuing a career in music. And it's got me questioning for myself, certainly, but also of other people. Like, how are you guys ensuring just the sustainability of your music careers? How are you ensuring the sustainability of being a performance artist? What keeps you going?
I think for me, it's first of all the love of it. I think you've got to be passionate about it. And I'm not saying, someone like Lily's not passionate about music, but she just might be in a different rhythm of life. And I think for me, I know, and I can speak for myself, I know what sustains me is because I know it's not the only thing that I'm working towards, if that makes sense. Because, sometimes you can be in the music industry and that's your only driver. That's your only thing that's happening. And then you hit a brick wall, for example, and nothing is happening for a while. And then that's when it can feel like, am I meant to be doing this? Am I meant to be in this? Maybe I need to start looking for something else. Whereas for me, because music has always been a part of my life from when I was a child. And even when I started recording and performing, yes, there was a phase in my life where that was all I was doing. But I think I always knew that this was never going to be a full-time gig for me. Like, it's not to say that I didn't think I was good enough to sustain it, or I didn't think I had the capability of being a full-time musician. But I think in the back of my mind, I always thought that this is something more like a hobby, something that I'm passionate about, that if I don't do it for 6 months, I'll still be okay. But I know that at any time I can sort of pick up a pen and write something, or pick up a mic and rap something, and jump on stage or do something. So I think because of the people that I've surrounded myself with, the network I've surrounded myself with, I'm always sort of involved in some way. Even if I'm not performing, I might be the MC of an event, or hosting an event, or behind the scenes of an event. So because of those kind of things, that's kept me involved. I think that's how I sustain it. That's how I'm able to say I'm still in the music industry, even if I'm not directly pursuing it.
Yeah, I think for me, because I said firstly I write for myself, it's more than it's an outlet for me. So if I'm on a stage or not, I'm still gonna write. And also, like I said, it's like a friend that I miss if I don't write. Like, I feel like now I'm talking about rhythm and in which space we are. Like, I'm in a space where creativity is flowing again. So it doesn't matter where I am or if it gets put out on a stage or not. I'm still gonna write because it's just flowing. So yeah.
And I think what you'll find is almost off the back of the last question you asked us. I think what you'll find sometimes is, like, I haven't been in a creative space because I've just been pursuing other things in terms of like business-wise and work-wise. But now that she's sort of back in sort of a creative bubble and space, it's almost inspiring me to be like, hey, I want to write something as well. I want to do something new. I want to put something out. Let me find that book. Let me tweak those rhymes. Let me find some beats and make some music. So I think that's the great thing about being in this type of partnership is sometimes the other one can inspire the other to sort of get creative and get back into it.
Oh, I'm encouraged by your responses because when you look at people who quit, when you look at people who, I don't want to say give up, when you look at people who quit pursuing music as a career and as a form of expression, I'm talking about music specifically, but I'm sure the same would apply to anything in the arts. But it's like passion wasn't an issue, talent wasn't an issue, ability wasn't an issue, skill wasn't an issue. So what's the deal, you know? And I think that can be demoralizing for other people who are perhaps looking up at these figures and they're thinking, yo, if they didn't make it. So I find it very encouraging to be talking and hearing these kind of answers from you, and just kind of to encourage people, you know, like the next person, it's okay for them to stop, but for you it's not okay, because there are other things that are driving it, and there are other interests that are driving that pursuit. And personally, I feel like the artists who are really going to stick around and who are really going to survive and thrive are people who would be doing this even if there was no money. And I find it striking that at no point did you guys talk about income. At no point, you know, when I was talking about how do you prioritize, there was no talk about, yeah, this is the thing that's bringing in money, the thing that's paying the bills, the thing that's covering the bond. It's almost like that's secondary to your decision making. And then it's kind of a natural byproduct of enjoying yourself and being creative and being in the groove that you are supposed to be at any given point in time.
Yeah, I think that sums it up. I mean, yes, money is important, but I think for me, at sometimes at the expense of contentment, or at the expense of family life, or just enjoyment in general, you know, because sometimes you can be so focused, especially like if music is the thing, let's say, for example, and the industry is there, and you're like, yo, I can make so much money, you know, I'm being booked for this gig, I'm being booked for that gig. But then when those things dry up, you know, it's like you're not happy, because that's the one thing that you were pursuing. And I'm not saying stop, because, you know, it's your passion, and if that's what you want to do, then by all means go for it. But I'm just saying, like for us, I think, I know Bizzle said this once. He says, I need money, but I don't need money. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, we need the money, but it's not like, if you know, money is the only thing that drives us. So I think that's very much that goes along in our decision making in terms of what to prioritize and whatnot.
So I'm reminded of something that Tsipokazi told me, that John Kani told her. You like the name dropping there? Boom, boom. But he was like, yeah, he asked her, do you want a career, or do you want to just keep gigging? And it was a transformative question for her. And it's a transformative question for me as well, because I think it really latches onto what you guys are saying, that you do have a vision, you do have these core values that inform your decision making. And I suppose that makes decision making very easy then, because if opportunities come across your way, it's not going to be about whatever is the nicest, best opportunity at the moment, but it's going to be about what's in line with your values as a household and as a home. Did you actively agree on what those values are, or does it just kind of organically flesh itself out?
I think it just organically happened.
Yeah. It's still happening.
It's still happening. I mean, we still figure things out. We still figure out where we are in life at any given time, or at any particular time, and what do we need to focus on. And yeah, so I guess it changes with the times. It changes with the rhythms that we find ourselves in. But yeah, like, you know, I think the most important thing is how we, what's the word? Not how we feed off each other. Let's put it to you that way. You know, it's never a specific discussion about this is the goal for the year, or this is the goal for this month. I think randomly, just by general discussion, we're like, I think it would be nice to do this. Okay, let's try it. Let's see where we end up, kind of thing. You know, unless it's a big major life decision, in most cases we're just like, well, for me, I know she's not necessarily like this, but for me it's like, let's go. You know, let's just see what happens. Where she wants to know, okay, how are we getting there?
On pen and paper.
Like, you know, okay, when we get to this point, what's the next step. Before we even take the first step, she must know that I'm like, let's just take the first step, and when we get to step 2, we'll figure out. That's where the challenge comes. But other than that, we just flow together and feed off each other.
I saw Ilze was waiting. What is your response gonna be? And then when you answered, she was like, nods all around, like, yeah, that's it. So well done for getting that answer right, Calvin. 100 points to you.
100 points.
How do you guys make time for each other? Your children are small, so they kind of demand time. So I don't think it's relevant asking how do you make time for the kids. They demand their time and they get their time. But how do you make time for each other?
When they sleep. But also, I think the best decision that we made was to send them to school. I know a lot of parents are either doing homeschooling or they just kept the kids at home. But we send them to school and they are at school the whole day, and then both of us work from home. So we had someone asking us the other day, how do you guys just one sit on the one side of the table and the other one on the other side, and how do you not irritate each other? But I'm just like, I have my bester Mikey with me every day. So we don't have to speak all the time. It's just having him here with me, like when he goes to the office, whenever he goes once a week. I kind of miss him, but we're in each other's faces all day, every day.
Yeah. I think making time for each other, I think in this, especially in the seasons that sometimes you find yourself in, you have to be deliberate about it. You have to be deliberate about making the time. Yes, there's sometimes there's days when we don't have that alone time because of work, because of the kids or whatever's happening at the time. But I think we do definitely make the effort, and we have to make the effort, and there's weekends, sometimes the kids go to my mom, then we have 2 days where we can be like, okay, this is time for us, where we can just relax and, just be with each other or do stuff. So, but yeah, we generally, it would be either during the day when there's some downtime or when the kids are sleeping.
What can we expect from you in 2021? Is there gonna be more Bacon Jam, more poetry anthologies, more albums, more virtual personal training, more babies? What are you planning? And I'm asking that question with the understanding that times are uncertain, things are changing literally weekly, often in terms of what is allowable and what is not allowable. But what are your plans for the year? If everything goes to plan, what can we expect from you in 2021?
So I think I'm just going to continue with putting some content on the podcast. It kind of took me by surprise, but the pieces that I uploaded, that I recorded, was basically for my family, and my family responded so well to it that I was like, other people also might like it or like this type of thing, because it's not really a podcast. It's basically just a recording of my pieces one by one. So I think I want to put more content out there. I think I made a promise to myself to do that because I have the time now. I don't have the excuse of I don't have time. I have the time. And then whatever comes from that, we go with it.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't think I've made a conscious decision as to I want to release more music this year, but I think there's certain things that are happening in our family space that we, over the next few months, there'll be some changes. So I think my goal is to get that part sort of out of the way, and then I can focus on, okay, what's the next step? But definitely, I hope to at least release, whether it's a single or an EP, before the end of the year. I definitely need to put some more stuff out there. I'm having that itch again for that. So you can look out for that. In terms of just other stuff happening, I'm hoping to soon be in a place where I'm been working or have an idea for a website that I want to put out there, just in terms of health and wellness. So that's something that's sort of on the back burner. but working towards. But definitely more content is coming in 2021 from me. That's a promise. I've said it here on the Jerome Rex Make Art podcast.
That's right. It's official. It's out in the universe. He's put it out there. Guys, where can we follow you? Where, Ilze, can we find your podcast? Where can we find your blog? Calvin, where can we find your music?
Oh, for me, look, I think the easiest place to find anything for me would be it is on Spotify. So if you just look for Recruit, I know there's another Recruit there, but if you search I Am Recruit, you'll find me on Spotify. Or you can just follow me on my socials. I've been a bit quiet this year just because I've been focusing on some other things, but I'm definitely back out there posting stuff. So I Am Recruit on Instagram, I Am Recruit on Twitter is where you'll find me most active. Facebook is just there on the side, but Twitter and IG is where you'll find me most active. So yeah, that's where you'll see it. And when my website is out, you will find that information on those platforms as well.
Calvin, you were running a cool discussion forum late last year on the couch with Recruit, and you got different people in, and you just spoke to them about whatever was on your mind at the time. Is there any chance we'll see some of that again?
Yes, I think definitely it's something that I have considered. I'm just wanting to figure out how it would look this time around. I don't know if I want to do the IG live thing. I might want to do it differently, whether it's a platform like Zoom or another sort of video type platform. I've recently come across a few more that might work for me. So it's definitely in the pipeline, planning the guests, the type of questions, the type of show that I want it to be. Because I don't just want to put it out there for the sake of putting it out there. I know I sort of did that last year because I had the time, but I think if I'm going to do it again, I want to have longevity in mind. So what is the purpose of it? What is the plan of it? But hopefully that will come also. Halfway through the year, towards the end, maybe the third or fourth quarter, we'll see some action in that space.
I remind you that the third quarter is only 2 months away.
Yes.
But yeah, be that as it may.
I know we are pretty much into the second quarter. So yes, I'm aware of that fact.
Yeah, this is it. Ilze?
Yeah, I'm just Ilze Gopal everywhere on Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, if you look for me, you'll find me. I'm there. Podcast also just Ilze Gopal, my Dinka.
Easy. Blog?
I think if you search for Ilze Gopal, I'm not too sure. Yeah, what is it? Illy Speaks, yeah, sorry. but if you follow me on Facebook, I'll share whatever I put out.
Just Google her, you guys. She's that big. Just Google her. Ilze, Calvin, it's been absolutely awesome chatting to you. Thank you so much for making time. I've really enjoyed this, and I think you've just given so much value. You've given so many solid tips and solid pieces of information, and I really believe that it's going to add value to our listeners. Thanks for joining up.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Jerome. It's been really great. We've been waiting to be on the Make Art podcast. We finally made it. So thanks for giving us the opportunity.
You were on the list, and now finally here we are.